Well, welcome everybody to the Just Add Bourbon podcast. I'm Jimmy Don Kerr.
Now, J.D. Dameron, what's up?
And it is another beautiful Sunday evening here in the hills of Eastern Kentucky. JD and I have no topics, but we're going to guarantee that we can make it an hour running our traps.
Like, I'm always, every Sunday, I'm like, I really don't feel like doing this. And then we do like the, you send me the link and we can hang out for just a minute. I'm like, okay, I think I'm ready.
Let's go. It's on now, baby. It's on. Yeah.
But you're right. We have absolutely zero topics, but I think we're going to be all right.
Oh, no. If one thing that JD and I have proven is that we can sit down here with nothing to talk about and talk for an hour. No problem, and can probably go for 2 hours. JD and I are both motor mouths, and we don't care a bit to talk. So, of course, guys, leave comments. Be a part of the discussion that we're going to have this evening. We do have a couple of topics. We're carrying on just a bit.
We did 5 minutes ago, though.
Yeah, well, 5 minutes ago we did. We do now. We've got a couple now. But definitely leave a comment. Let us know you're here. If you got a topic, you want something JD and I to talk about, throw it out there. We'll gladly try to chat about it. JD, how's your week been, brother?
I mean, before we get into my week, I just want to say I look really good in this white. This white looks good on me, man. Like I think I got a little bit of suntan or something. I don't know.
Listen to you.
I'm also humble.
Right. JD's so humble. If you don't know this by now, JD's a really humble guy. Yeah. But I was like, man, I'm going to turn these lights off or something. I look really white and you kind of look tan. Yeah. Still handsome.
I've been out. Oh, yeah. You are a handsome man. But I've been out in the sun all week working, man. Trying to get any downtime this week, hardly. But we did get out of the office early and I went to ball games and stuff like that, standing out in the sun. Got a little tan. Had a good week, actually. My girlfriend came up, hang out with me yesterday, and we had a good time. Like, she lives a long way away, man, but it's always fun when me and her just get to kick back and relax. We ended up not going out. We just hung out and watched Netflix and chilled and just hung out. It was nice, man, to hang out with her.
And I know you're that laughy face is for JD talking about how attractive he is, not how attractive I am.
She's laughing about me hanging out with my girlfriend.
It's like lies, all lies.
No, so I've had a good week, man. It was nice that we didn't work late many days this week, man, which was good for us. It's a change for us, and it was nice. It was nice to get out and have a life outside of work this week. So.
Right. No, and it's been a while, man, since that's happened. Kind of got things back under control, and you get to do your own thing. My week was solid, man. I had a good week. Busy as always. Always busy. Mortgage business is still rocking. I'm making the American dream happen for everybody and putting them in debt further than they already are. Glad I can always assist in that way. But no, I helped a lot of people buy some houses this week. Actually, right before we started, some dude just pulled up here and dropped some paperwork off. Shout out to Lonnie Fletcher, getting ready to make that happen for him. And it was a good week. And then, Friday I came in and kind of chilled out. We didn't have a spring break this week, right? So the girls were on spring break. I actually didn't have to get up at 4 a.m. every day. I got to sleep till 5, which was nice. And, it was a beautiful week. Like the weather was just gorgeous all week. I was actually down at one of the ball games, but I had to leave. I need to talk about this. Everybody knows I do this small town collectibles page, right? So that channel's grown very well. I'm up to like 600 and some subscribers now, which it blows my mind. But, as I've kind of gotten more and more into this community, I'm going on other people's channels, right? So this dude has this show called Lame or Frame. And basically they bring you on, they pick a topic, and you have to draw whatever the topic is, right? So they say, all right, here's this. So I want to share my art with you, okay? I got to the finals. Me and a guy got to the finals, and I choked on the last drawing.
Oh, no.
I just completely choked, and I got nervous and choked and ended up losing by 1. But I want to share this with you all. So this was the first picture. So it was Pokemon.
Okay.
Don't have a clue who this is.
Yeah.
I just drew it from a picture. This is the dude in Pokemon. That may look a little more familiar.
Yeah.
His hat's huge. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
This is the dragon that they had us draw. I ran out of time.
That's a good dragon, bro.
You like that?
It looks like the dragon from Shrek.
Yeah, it's something. It's really similar to the one that actually. And then here's one
Oh, okay. That is definitely Pokemon right there.
Yeah, and then here is the very first. I think this is the second one we drew, and then this is the one I choked on, and it looks nothing like the actual picture that I drew. Like you
It's
see,
supposed to be the little pink curvy thing, but was it?
yeah.
Was the
You
yeah?
see this ear right here? It's supposed to be up here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what
totally
happened, man?
choked.
Like they had you timed and you
I
choked,
don't
or
know.
what
I
happened?
just never thought I actually had a shot. Right? Like I can actually draw a little bit.
Yeah, I
Okay.
cannot.
Like if I'm sitting down, like I can't like from my memory, like just sit down and draw something, and I just can't. But if I look at it, I can draw it, and draw
Me
it to
too,
where it
Brooklyn.
looks good, right? Yeah, better than you.
Me too, Brooklyn. I can't draw a stick man. My stick man doesn't look like a stick man. It's terrible. I'm not a drawer.
But
So,
no,
but also, man. I mean, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were
no.
done.
Well, let me finish this real quick. It,
Yeah.
it was fun. I had a good time. It's the first time, but I actually came to the ball game, and I was going to come over there and stand with you, but I had to leave to get back in time to do this because I dropped Ashton and Aaliyah off down there.
Well, I see. I was wondering who Ashton's with because I seen her in the lead.
That's Ashton and Aaliyah. Well, so Aaliyah is JD and I's other child. If people don't know this, she's our other baby. Haley is my other one, and what is this? Hey, Judge Judy. Oops, I mean JD.
Just call me Judge Judy, I guess. I don't know.
I love it. But no, but anyway, I had
Coming
to
out
leave.
firing. I like it.
But I had to leave. I had to get back home to come do that. So what? So that's just a quick little ditty about the Small Town Collectibles page and what I'm doing there. Are you doing anything with yours?
Yeah, but I want to ask you, man, before I get into mine, didn't you do a show last week last Sunday after you left here? Didn't you go do a
Yeah, rigged. I won.
Yeah. Oh, did you really?
I won.
Because you was like, I'm about ready to get my ass handed to me.
No, dude, I won. Like
Yeah.
I answered more questions than anybody had ever answered on there, and I want to tell you it was 100% luck. The first 4 questions that I answered, I got right. I think it was the first 4 I answered. I got right, and I didn't have a clue about any of them. But I kind of did the process of elimination and got it down to like 2 answers. And I thought, I guessed, and I got it right. Nice. And then at the end, you have to bet a point, right? So you have to bet a certain number of your points to. It's like Final Jeopardy,
right?
And so I ended up just betting one. Knew the question, should have bet them all, but I was trying to put the pressure on my opponent. And the guy, Gary B. the Casual Comic Guy is his name. He's from up in Rochester, New York, become a very, very good friend of mine. And he's a big Conan the Barbarian guy, right? So the last question for him was Conan. So he bet all his points. If he gets it right, I'm beat. And I thought, okay, I'm just gonna bet one, stay conservative, make sure I keep my points. Yeah, and I thought, make him beat me. And I thought, because I didn't think I had a chance anyway. So he gets this Conan the Barbarian question. I'm like, oh, God. But then all of a sudden I see this look on his face, and it's like, and he completely locked up, dude, and didn't get the question right. I accused him of throwing it. He's one of the nicest people around. I was like, you threw that so I could win. But, yeah, I ended up winning. And so I'll get to be on their champions round when they have the people who won come back and compete.
Look at my boy doing big things. Winning. Yeah. I love it. That's cool, man. So, yeah, I'm starting up my channel back. I'm starting to be more active on it. Actually going to start doing some box openings. I like to be fashionable. I like to wear nice clothes, like to buy nice clothes, whatever. So I signed up for Stitch Fix a few years ago, and I ended up not doing anything with it. I ended up just continuing my membership and getting rid of that. But I've signed back up for that, and along with the bourbon reviews, I'm going to start doing the Stitch Fix, where I unbox the clothes, I'm going to try them on, and do all that, and put it out there on YouTube, man, see how people like it. But I'm excited about that, man, because I think that's definitely in my lane. You know what I'm saying? So
and it kind of goes together as style, like bourbon. That's kind of a lifestyle, really. Bourbon. People who drink bourbon, it's a lifestyle. Then you do the clothes, and JD is. I hate to say it, but JD is pretty stylish. You'll see him walk around. He'll have the hat on, and he always looks cool. Because I don't at all.
With just the earrings, baby. Here we go. I'm rocking the earrings.
Yeah, no, and that ain't me at all. Right. But I'm interested.
I think it works for me though, right?
Yeah.
The earrings, I pull it off. I don't know.
Yeah, but no, the Stitch Fix thing is something I've always been interested in. Because I need to be a little more stylish. Like I literally wear ball shorts and T-shirts. If I'm not working, that's what I wear. And I basically have a uniform that I wear to work. It's a My Hometown Mortgage shirt and a pair of slacks. So I have no style whatsoever. So I'm kind of interested in that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to it. I think that's really going to be along with the bourbon, which I really enjoy doing. I'm going to throw those things together, man. See, I don't know, like if it'll come to anything, but I'm going to enjoy it if nothing else. So
Well, that's cool.
we'll
I
see
think
how
that's
it
cool.
goes. Yeah.
I really liked the last one you did, you and your brother and your dad, and I didn't know who the other dude was, but
Yeah, he's one of my brother's friends from up in Georgetown, Nadge, and we did what did we do? Oh, we did Horse Soldier bourbon, which was cool. Like we said, man, he paid like $80 for that bottle. Oh man, it was not good bourbon. Like,
yeah,
I'm sorry, Horse Soldier, if you're listening, but y'all got to do something different because it was not good. And Brian was like, man, I paid $80. I was like, bro, I'm sorry.
Sorry, it sucks.
I can't believe you didn't give it better than 5.7. You know.
But no, so that was good. So I'll be looking forward to that coming out on your channel. And so we talked a little bit last week. You know, we'll start with kind of the sports theme. You know, the national championship happened Monday night, and I actually forgot and was watching something else. I forget what I was watching. Maybe Falcon and Winter Soldier, something. I was watching something, and I remembered, and I turned it over, and Baylor was up by like 15. And I was like, good Lord. And Baylor just kicked their ass, dude. Like, it wasn't even funny. They just beat them down.
So I think that proves the point that we were making last week about Gonzaga being a elite team. They're just not. I mean, they were working at conference out there out west. It's just not the Big 12. It's not the Big 10. It's not the SEC or the ACC. So I was glad to see Baylor just dismantle them and leave no questions about who the better team was. And congrats to Baylor Bears, man. They got it done.
Yeah, no, it was awesome, man. I said, and Scott Drew, you know, I mean, you think about that team, JD, literally one of their players murdered one of his teammates. And that wasn't that long ago. And then Scott Drew came in there, rebuilt that program. They win the national championship, and, dude, they were awesome. You know, and it's kind of, you're seeing the trend in college basketball. It will be, because Calipari's doing it right now for Kentucky. You know, he's bringing in all these transfers. You're going to bring in a few of the one and dones. You've got the new type of one and done, which will be the transfers from the other schools. But that's basically what Baylor was made up of, was a bunch of transfers from these small schools, and then a couple of, you know, elite freshmen. And you know, I mean, they were awesome, dude. After I watched them beat Houston down like they did, I thought, you know, Gonzaga's not got a shot. I hope they would show better than that, but they didn't. So I think, like you said, it kind of proved our point. All right, the other thing is, do you ever watch NASCAR?
Man, I have watched NASCAR in years and years. Like, no, I don't.
Like, I used to watch it all the time. Like, I was a big NASCAR fan. Now, that was primarily when my dad was alive, and Dad and I used to go to Bristol every year. We had season tickets. We had season tickets to the spring and the fall race. And, you know, I loved it. And Bristol was a hoot, dude. Like, it's a whole weekend. It's an event. You know, you go down, you camp out, you cook out. They've got concerts going on. You know, there's people selling stuff everywhere. There's food everywhere. People are drinking everywhere. Like, it's just a big time. Like, you would fit in.
It sounds like a great time to me.
Yeah, it's 100% a JD kind of party. And I used to love going. And when Dad passed away, I went a couple of years after Dad passed, but it just wasn't the same for me. And so I just kind of quit going. But I think it was last weekend, they put dirt on Bristol and ran those stock cars on that track. And it was the craziest thing, man, like to see those stock cars on dirt, you know, sliding around. If you've ever watched a dirt race, like, it was crazy. Did you see any of that?
No, I didn't see any of it, man. Like, I hardly ever turn my TV on, even when I come home. But ESPN is like, so, not change subject on you, but I've been watching just trash TV, and I got to admit to you, I'm loving it.
What have you been watching?
I've been watching. So tonight at 8 o'clock on TLC, 90 Day Fiancé comes on. And it may be the best train wreck show of all time. It's absolutely fascinating TV for me. I can't turn it off. And I'm a little disappointed in myself for watching it. But I can't help it. I just can't not stop watching it.
Is that the only one you watch? Like, I know, don't they have like My 600-Pound Life? They have all kinds of stuff like that.
I wish that was the only one I watched, but no.
That's tonight at 8 o'clock. What tomorrow at 8?
Tomorrow is Seeking Sister Wives, which is, I can't help it. Listen to me. What are these people? So there's the husband and wife. They're out courting these future wives for the husband. Like, some of them, like the girls, whatever, man. But I can't turn it off, bro. I cannot turn it off. It's hilarious. It's a absolute train wreck, but I just can't get enough of it. I don't know what is wrong with me and why I started watching this. Actually, I do know why I started watching this. Amanda knows why I started watching this. But she has opened up a whole new door for me. And I'm so disappointed in myself. But 90 Day Fiance, man, I'm telling you, if you watch it, you'll be like, oh my God.
Oh, really?
I can't turn it off.
Yes. Was it kind of like, what was it? Tiger King is the one that was just pure trash, and I couldn't stop watching it.
Yeah, I had to take a shower after every episode.
I remember Amy coming through. I remember Amy coming through and going, "What are you watching?" And I was like, "It's something called Tiger King." I said, "It's awful, but I can't stop. Like I have to watch every episode." So yeah, no. So that's interesting. I didn't know that you were a 90 Day Fiance. And
oh yeah, I'm disappointed to let people know that, but I can't help it. It's really, really fascinating.
So is that like the modern dating thing? Like, do you, because Amanda lives away, so do you guys like FaceTime and then watch shows together? Like,
so what we'll do, man, is like we'll be like, okay, we'll watch a show, and so we actually, like last year, we kind of talked a little bit too. And we watched Tiger King, so we'd watch an episode of Tiger King. We'd text each other and talk about, oh my God, can you believe this happened? So like during this 90 Day Fiance thing, we're just texting back and forth the whole time talking, and then we'll FaceTime usually every night. And so it's hard, man, like being in a long distance relationship, but it's so much easier than it used to be, you know.
Well, yeah, because you can actually see them if you want to. Yeah. Like, I mean,
it's not the same thing, but it's definitely better. You know what I'm saying?
So, like, I kind of wondered, like, if you would sit there and watch a show together, like, you know, instead of sitting on the couch beside each other, you got your phone on FaceTime and you're sitting there actually talking to each other. I was just wondering if that was like the new modern dating.
No, like we don't do that way, but we just, text back and forth. And then once it's over, we're about ready to lay down, we'll FaceTime for a little bit, and that'll be it. But I enjoy doing that with her, man, and having that connection, like watching those shows together and talking shit about those people and all that, you know. And so that's modern dating for me. But I guess, like, so watching this 90 Day Fiance, though, man, you think about talking about long distance relationships. Do you know what 90 Day Fiance? Do you know the premise of it at all? It's like a lot of these people are like, well, basically all of these people are like, so when you get a fiance or something, they get a 90-day visa to come over and stay. And you got 90 days either marry them or send them back. And so you got 90 days to make that decision. And so that's where the 90-day fiance comes in. And it's just an absolute train wreck because some of these people, you know, they want their parents there, or something's not right. They're trying to break up and get back together and all this stuff. And it's an absolute train wreck, and I can't get enough of it. I hate
so the people are overseas, like it's like a mail-in bride type thing, or
yeah, it's like basically, like they are very upfront about wanting to get that green card too, man. Like, and you think that it was mostly men getting women, but that's not the case at all, man. A lot of women are grabbing guys too, man, and stuff. It's crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. I may have to join the
it really is interesting.
I might have to join them. All right. So one of the other things we talked about last week was the county judge executive race, or not race, the appointment that happened here in Martin County. And I told you guys that I'd put my name in. I did not get selected. The Victor Sloan, who has been a magistrate here for 20 plus years, and was kind of the favorite for it anyway. He ended up getting selected. I think somebody texted me and told me, "Hey, sorry you didn't get it." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" But I found out that he had been appointed. And so I'll be honest with you, JD, like I didn't think I was going to get it, right? Like I had no false sense of hope that I was going to get it, but I'm not going to tell you that I wasn't a little bit disappointed when I heard that I didn't, because I might have planned out the whole first week if I got it. And so I was a little disappointed, but at the same time, happy for Victor because he's a good guy, and I got a lot of respect for Victor, and I think he'll do a fine job. But yeah, no, I didn't. We've shared all that on here, and I thought I would just share. Hey, I didn't get appointed, and I was a little disappointed, but hopefully it'll work out good for Victor, and I got plenty to do otherwise, so I'll keep cracking and doing what I do. Yeah.
So, like, I think from the very beginning, from Bilbo's stepping aside to whatever, there were two names that were out there, and it was you and Victor. And Victor ended up getting the appointment, which is fine. I'm good with that. Victor's, very competent person, very capable. Like Victor, he's a smart guy. And he's been in the government for a while. Like you said, local government for a while here in Martin County. And I think he'll be okay. I hope he surrounds himself with people who are competent. And I think that's the main thing going forward. It's going to be interesting to me to see who gets appointed to fill this District 5 magistrate seat.
Yeah, no, so now you got that because that was Victor's seat, and we'll be interested to see who gets that one. But yeah, like I said, we had shared that with you, and like I said, I'm not, I was a little disappointed. I really was. Not like heartbroken or anything, not crushed. hey, don't give up yet. He may be the dude. I can't work for anybody. If that's one thing about me, is I don't work well with others. I kind of have to be the boss man. So,
I'm actually thinking about putting in for this appointment in this District 5 magistrate seat.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I think that'd be like I don't think I'm electable over here, but I think I could be appointment and make a difference in a couple of years. And,
cool, man. That's
and
great.
who knows what after that,
Look at us, trying to get involved with government and do all those things. I never dreamed, like that was never something that had crossed my mind necessarily as, being in politics at all. But, being involved with the water district and then the community center and some of the other things that I've
Sure.
went through here, it really kind of sparked or lit a fire in me to maybe want to help that way and give back. So like I said, I was disappointed but happy for Victor, and because I think Victor is a smart guy, like you said, and I think he'll do a good job. So congratulations to him, and I wish him the very best because, like we talk about with our presidents and things like that, you want them to do well because if they do well, that means our county does well. That means we all do well, and we could use something positive for sure. So
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So, now let's move on to, I guess, what we would consider the primary topic this week. There's been some talk that Dictator Biden is going to maybe sign or wants to sign an executive order about gun control because of some of the shootings. We've had a few shootings over the last couple of weeks. And he really, I guess, JD has been pressing Congress to do something in the order of gun control. So my first question to you is, if Biden actually, if our dictator actually said or did an executive order and actually did something with gun control, would you support that?
I mean, obviously it depends on what he did. I don't like executive orders at all. But I understand the quandary that President Biden finds himself in, because the Republicans in the Congress will not want to help do anything, which is, crazy. We have this big infrastructure bill that's still sitting there. We can't get past because and we know we have study after study after study that says it's going to give all these jobs, do all these things for our infrastructure. But the Republicans are still not want to fight it because it's going to raise taxes on corporations. I mean, there is some fat on the bill, which is every bill that's ever been passed ever. But the Republicans have got to work with the president. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Can I push back on you real quick?
Sure,
there?
Absolutely. So that's why the executive orders, though, I'll say that.
I don't disagree with you that the Republicans need to step up and work with this. The infrastructure bill is something that could help everybody. Okay.
Right.
I mean, it could help our entire country. Like, you drive around in these roads, potholes everywhere. Obviously, with our water system, we could use some of that money. And if it goes out there, we're going after it with both hands. Everything all over the country, I don't care where you drive, our infrastructure is in bad need of repair. And so I can agree with you on that the Republicans need to come to the table and say, okay, yeah, this is something we want to get done. This can help everybody. And it may be a win for Biden. Who cares? It's a win for the American people. It's a win for the American worker. Where I push back is they have everything that they've done thus far, JD, they've jammed down the throats of the Republican Party. The COVID bill, they just went right over their heads and did it. They, no matter what, they've shoved everything they've done down their throat and made them eat it. Now they have the majority. Elections have consequences. And Biden has said that he wants to work with the other side, but he has yet to do that. Not one time has he done that.
But he's trying to, though, man. Those guys, they're not coming to the table. Like right now, Biden's actually, I don't know as we speak right now, but I know over the weekend, he talked about going to meeting with people who are actually, from the other side of the aisle that were actually, considering working across the aisle and making this thing happen. So Biden, he may end up having to sign an executive order to get this thing done. So if you force the president to sign executive orders because you're not wanting to work, then it's hard to blame the president. I mean, at some point, you got to put politics aside and put the people in front of them. I feel like if President Trump would have put the same exact bill together, the Republicans would have jumped right on board.
And the Democrats would have done the exact same thing the Republicans are doing now. And
that's very well, that's likely. I mean, but it doesn't make it right.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely
right. It doesn't
make
it right. And so right now, the onus is on the Republican Party. They've got to get things done. if they want to work with this administration for the next 3.5 years, and they need to. We need that. We all need that. They don't need it at all. We need it. The American people need it. And so we want to criticize for signing executive orders, but you got to come to the table willing to bargain and willing to compromise.
But as far as I know, up until now, he's not done that. He's not reached out to anybody. He just done what he wanted and shoved it through. That's why, like, I joke and call him Dictator Biden, because, everybody like to call Trump a dictator and say that, but Biden has acted way more like a dictator than Trump has, or Trump did.
But the problem is because there's so many of those things that need to get done in a timely manner, like the COVID bills, getting these vaccines, getting everything moved out and moved around so in a timely fashion. That's why we had to get things done so fast.
Well, and like you're right, but the Democrats, Pelosi and them did the same thing to Trump. When he was trying to get that last COVID bill done, they held off, and they said it was because there was an election coming up. They wanted him to get beat, and so they played politics with it.
I never did find that quote, by the way.
Oh, you didn't? I'll find it and send it to you. I forgot.
But when we end up getting the COVID bill relief or the stimulus package relief coming through, it ended up coming out that the Republicans were holding it up the whole time. Ended up being the Republicans the whole time, not the Democrats, because the Democrats wanted to actually give the $2,000 instead of the $600 they ended up getting. So, like, man, I don't care. Anyway, I don't care. Right. I don't care if it's Democrat. I don't care if it's Republican. We got to get shit done, period.
Right.
That's just.
So let's head it back in the direction of gun control.
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry.
So if Biden did the thing with gun control, like if he signed an executive order, and let's give an example. Say that he said that you could not own a gun, right? That you can't own a gun. And he signed an executive order. Now, obviously, I think people revolt. I think most people on the left who are reasonable minded would say that would be the wrong thing to do, right?
Absolutely. Yes. I'm not. So executive orders are not good for us. I don't want a dictator. I don't want a king. I want a president. I want to have checks and balances in the system, but also, like, when you get, it's so hard, man, because when you have people like Mitch McConnell, who was the Senate leader for so long, when they were important bills needed to be passed, people needed help, he wouldn't even let them be voted on. He wouldn't even let the debate happen, right? And so now we have a Democrat-controlled Congress, Democrat-controlled House. It's hard not to just do all those things and swing that pendulum so far back to the left. You know what I'm saying? But we're not – I think they're actually trying not to do that. So as far as the executive order goes for gun control, I would not be in favor of him just coming out and signing an executive order saying no guns anywhere, never. And I'm not a big fan of the executive orders no matter what happens. I'm not a fan of it. But I also understand that you're going to have to get some people to work with you if you want to get some things done.
So let's talk about gun control, because it's been a hot topic. It's always like a kind of a hot button topic, around election time. The Republicans will scream, the Democrats want to take all your guns. The Democrats, no, we don't. We just want background checks and things like that. And so let's talk about it. Let's talk about what would make sense. And I think one of the very first podcasts we ever did, we talked about gun control, and that was over a year ago. And and 70 some podcasts ago. That's hard to believe, isn't it?
A few thousand downloads,
yeah. And so, and still it's always going to be an issue. So with what you saw, I mean, one of them dude just flipped out on a Navy base and killed some people. The other one, what did he shoot up? I don't know, some guy, again, so I can go off onto the mental health discussion. So let's talk about actual sensible gun laws. Like, what do you think would be sensible, a change, that we don't already have?
So I think stricter background checks. I think, you can lose your right to own a gun. I think that's the thing that's in there now. I think not being able to I should be able to go to Buck Creek Flea Market over here and buy a gun off the street and not have it registered my name ever, because you can do that now. Yeah. And that's what they call the gun show loop or whatever. I just don't think that's a way we should move forward. I think there should be guns. If you got a gun, you should register it. I know everybody's all against registration, but I don't think sensible. I think that's a sensible thing, man. I don't see the problem with that. If you're a law-abiding citizen, you own a gun, And why would you worry if your gun's registered in your name or not? So just register it and be done with it. What about you?
I don't disagree with that. I mean, as far as like, especially like background checks and things like that, I don't think it, there is an issue with people getting guns in their hands, whether that be people with mental health issues, let's say gang members, things like that,
Sure.
criminals. There are issues, with people just being able to go anywhere and get a gun. And I don't disagree. I'm not real big on the registration part of it. Like, I think that you buy a gun, you get registered. I mean, I guess that's kind of, that's talking out both sides of my mouth, because like, in one sense, I don't want the government necessarily, I don't think it's their business how many guns I have, right?
Right.
But I think that when you go and buy a gun, I think that there should be a background check. I think there should be a background check at a gun show. I don't think you should necessarily be able to sell them at a flea market. I think it needs to be controlled. Somebody with a license that is, a law-abiding citizen, maybe a gun dealer, something along that line, where it is specific where you can go and get these things and those background checks are done. But I just don't necessarily know that I want the government knowing everything that I have. I just don't know that it's their business.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's true, man. Like, but we're talking about a gun. We're talking about a man being able to go over to shoot 30 people, in a few minutes, So I think that is the government's business. I just think common sense gun law. I think registration and background checks are common sense things. And I don't understand the kickback, which is so hard from. And we also have a big problem. We have more guns now being built at home than any other time in our period in our history, and that's a real problem. Because we don't even know the guns exist. The problem, Jimmy Don, that we get into, and it goes back to mental health, like you said a minute ago. I'm not sure how much any of these laws are going to help, because a lot of these people are grabbing guns out of their dad's cabinet or their neighbor's gun cabinet and just going to shooting places up. So how many of these shootings are actually going to be stopped by these gun laws?
Yeah, I feel like
it's great to have more gun laws on the books, but if they're not going to prevent murders, then how effective are they? And how do you do that? So when it comes down to it, man, the crux of the issue really is, where do you draw the line of what a person can own? You can own a 30-06. You can own a 12 gauge, but can you own an AR-15? Can you own an AR-10? Can you own an M16, M60? Where did we draw that line? And I think that's really the crux of the debate that needs to be focused on. Like, I don't think it's happenstance that all these mass shootings continue to happen over and over again, and they keep on using the same model weapon. I don't think that's just happenstance. I think that's a very concentrated decision that was made by the shooter.
So I feel like when you talk about gun laws, like, to me, it's like you're treating the symptoms, not the actual problem itself. And it generally, when things like this happen, it is something to do, there is a mental health issue of some sort. And it would be, I guess, in a perfect world, you would like to think that you could, if somebody has a mental health issue and it's known, they're getting treated, they're at a doctor, that maybe those people, there is a flag for them if they try to buy a gun, right? Like, if there's some kind of flag. Because, it's like everything else. One bad apple spoils the bunch, right?
Right.
Yeah, you've had, of all the gun owners in the world or in the United States, you've just got a certain number of people, a small number of people who are committing crimes like this. You're punishing everybody for the crimes of a few. And sure. It is, like, if there was a way, because that's where I'm like you, the crux of it is, does everybody need an AR-15? Does everybody need a fully automatic weapon? Probably not in their day-to-day life. But, if you want to own one, you can, right? You got to be able to protect yourself if the government turns on you or whatever. That was kind of the idea of the whole thing.
Sure.
Was to protect yourself from the government. But it's such a hard issue. And let me put up David's here.
Yeah, please do.
His comment: I'm afraid that once they start banning certain types of guns, they will keep pushing until all rights to own guns are gone. Lawful gun owners and collectors are the ones who are going to suffer. A criminal will have their guns no matter what the laws are, and there's some truth to that.
So I agree with a lot of what David's saying there, man. Also, shout out Dave. What's up, man? But we've done this before, though. We've had bans on assault rifle weapons and those high capacity magazines, and they're still around. There's still people that have them because the Brady bill, which Clinton wrote, and then they run out under Bush, and Bush let it come back. And if you'll see, man, the number of shootings have went up since then. It's not a coincidence. I understand, man. Everybody feels like it's this slippery slope. But, I mean, we just got to figure out where the line is. And for me, so let's talk about the Second Amendment a little bit. The right to bear arms should not be infringed. Even then, man, there were certain things that, civilians didn't own. There were certain guns that civilians didn't own. When you talked about how it was turn against your government. If your government turned on you, you could defend yourself. I mean, do you think right now the government would have any problem wiping us out if they wanted to?
No, none.
So I agree. If they want to drop a bomb on Kentucky and wipe it out, your guns in your closet's not going to do you a bit of good at all. So I almost feel like the Second Amendment's almost antiquated because the technology that the military has compared to what the civilian world has, I mean, it's not even, guys. Let's not kid ourselves. We're not going to fight against our government. I promise you, it's not going to happen.
No, and there's some truth to what you're saying. The thing is, though, they're not going to wipe everybody out, right? Because you want to rule somebody, you got to have people to rule. So you're not going to wipe everybody out. So a lot of times you just will come in, break their spirit, and ground attacks, things like that, and you could defend yourself. And from robbers and things like that, people that could break into your house. If somebody knows that you're carrying, they may be less likely to do something. And there's those extreme. I don't know that everybody should be walking around packing a weapon like it's the old West, the Wild West. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's the case. Or I want
feel like there should be a competence test. Like, I don't want the guy down the road that reads on the 5th grade reading level packing around an AR-15. I just don't. That's just me. Yeah. Because he's not capable of critical thinking, a lot of the times.
Right. I think the standoff with the cattle rangers in Nevada is a good example of Second Amendment rights.
Okay, so I can't remember this guy's name right now. Oh, what is his name, Chris? But that guy ended up selling firearms illegally. That's why that whole thing went down. He sold firearms to an undercover FBI agent or a ATF agent, I can't remember, illegally. And they ended up coming to his ranch, and the whole mess went down out there. Do you know about this? They shot his wife, they shot his kid. And now this guy's getting paid by the NRA, to be a spokesperson. He's a fucking piece of shit. Let's just be honest with you. But I feel like people like the NRA, man, they use all these scare tactics, man. Like the government or the Democrats are after your guns. Bro, I'm not after your gun. I don't care all the guns you have, you can have them. I don't care. I want to keep guns out of hands of people who shoot kids. And people who shoot kids aren't law-abiding citizens. And those are people who are packing around AR-15s. And I don't think it's a coincidence they keep on packing those same weapons over and over and over again. It's because those weapons are effective killing machines with high-capacity rounds, high-capacity magazines, and yeah, where you at, Jimmy?
Do you think that, and this just came to my mind, but one of the things we've talked about on here before too is we imprison more of our people than any other country in the world. Yeah. And a lot of times it's for drug offenses and, nonviolent crimes that got these crazy long sentences, and our prisons are overcrowded. And I'm not necessarily for that, right? If it's nonviolent, then I'm not in favor of keeping people in prison for a long time for a nonviolent offense. If it's a violent offense, then I think you put them in. Maybe one thing that we could do is maybe strengthen the punishment for selling firearms illegally, maybe clear out some of our prisons with these nonviolent offenses and make it a more harsh punishment for, committing a crime with a gun or selling guns illegally or doing things like that. And maybe that would curb some of it. What do you think about that?
No, I think you're right on track. Absolutely. One of the things you said earlier was you don't necessarily think somebody should go to a pawn shop or a
the flea market
flea market and buy a gun. You should have somebody that's a registered dealer selling the gun. But how much responsibility ends up falling back on that dealer? Like if there's a licensed dealer and then somebody goes out and shoots the school up, like how much responsibility does that dealer have?
Well, I think if the dealer does his job, which is background checks, and he does everything, he checks every box, then I don't think he has any liability because he followed the law. He did exactly what he was supposed to do, and he
so where do we put the two teeth in at though? Where does the teeth go in?
That's a great question, man, and it's such a hard discussion because really it's the person who uses the gun. To me, it's whoever is using the gun. That's
a lot of times they're on a suicide mission or a homicide.
Right. They don't care.
Suicide by cop mission or whatever. They don't care. And so what we have to do is be proactive. And I know the more guns we manufacture of this caliber, AR-15s, AR-10s of this nature, M1As, the more they're going to be in the hands of people who aren't mentally stable. And so I don't know the answer, man. I just know for me, it's about where we draw that line. I think we stop people from manufacturing, weapons where they can go in and shoot 30 people in 2 minutes, because the reaction time for cops is well over that,
and there's some sense to that, JD. There really is, because if you've got somebody has to walk in there with a semi-automatic or something that you have to really pull the trigger to shoot, they're liable to kill less people. Somebody's going to get to them quicker before they can mow down a ton of people. It's just, again, it's like Chris said, it's that slippery slope, or David, one of them said it's a slippery slope because you give this far, right? So let's say that the gun owners or the NRA, the gun rights activists give and say, okay, no more automatic weapons. We agree with that. That's a problem. All right. So they give that up, but then they go and say, well, yeah, but now we want your rifles and we want your shotguns. And it's just never gonna stop. You know what I'm saying? That's the fear.
Right. I get it, man. I get that. But I feel like most people are reasonable and most people would push back against that and not elect people that are going to do that. But I feel like these fear mongering lobbyists like the NRA are playing on people's emotions. Like, oh, first they start with the registration and then they're going to be putting you in the camps and gassing you. No. I mean, there's countries in the world right now where gun control, where there's no private citizens have guns, and they're doing just fine. I mean, I understand. I get the fear from repeating history of World War II with the Jewish people giving up their arms and then being herded into cattle trucks. I get it. But also understand that those were different times and a different person was in control. I mean, it's a tough situation, man, because it does put you in a tough situation.
It really is.
But it's about where you draw the line at. Go ahead.
Let's see here.
Chris.
What do you think about the cop who hit the guy with his car in Lexington? I really didn't see him fall from the police from what I read and saw. I don't know a whole lot about that, to be honest with you.
I'm not familiar at all, really.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that at all. So
I will tell you the story when I lived in Lexington about the guy in Louisville who got shot by the cops like 47 times, I think. The guy killed a cop, jumped in the car, run off in the car. They ended up throwing the spikes down and busting his tires, and he was on rims, giving him the gas, trying to run over the cars, over the cops, and the cops shot him like 47 times. So the cops goes to court, and the judge says, why'd you all shoot him 47 times? And the guy said, because we ran out of bullets.
Right.
And I think that was an absolutely correct answer.
Yeah.
If you kill you kill a cop and you're still in a dangerous situation. If you catch traction in those rims, man, you run over somebody. You're still a big threat. Light him up. That's what I feel about it.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that at all. Yeah, it's a tough discussion. Because like it makes sense. Like in one way, it makes total sense. Like some of the points you were making, even some of the ones I was making, it makes total sense. You just don't want to because you're scared to death. If you give up an inch, they'll take a mile, right? And that's the part that the lobby fears is I think that their cooler heads could prevail and you could get down on both sides and say, all right, look, something's got to be done, but we're willing to go here. Let's get this done, and we're not going any further. And I guess, I would probably be okay with that. Like, I'm not necessarily a big gun guy. I own guns.
Sure.
But I'm not the guy that's going out looking for an AR-15 or a fully automatic weapon either, right? So no, I don't know, man. I said it's a weird, not weird. It's just a tough discussion because there's a lot of gray area.
So let me ask you this, man. And you just tell me how you feel. You go to the park, you're out swinging with your daughters out there, and there's a guy walking around with AR-15, but he's not bothering anybody. How do you feel about it? I would be very weary of you, man. I'd feel uncomfortable.
It would definitely get my attention.
Yeah.
I'd be watching him for sure. I would feel uncomfortable, but I don't know how many parks I've ever been to where they've had AR-15s. Most people who have those shoot them at ranges and things like that.
Absolutely. Most people do. But the problem is they can do so much damage so quickly when in the wrong hands, Yeah. If we stop the manufacturing of them, we eliminate people that shouldn't have them having them. And it's tough, man. It's tough. But I feel like gun control is definitely one of those things that we need to sit down and have the hard discussions. We need to keep the lobbyists out of it and all the money that the NRA pumps to everybody. And we need to have a discussion what's right for Americans. I don't know. Maybe I'm off base. Chris, David, am I off base at all? Y'all hit me up. Let me know because I just don't. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it is, man. It's a tough one. I mean, that's a tough discussion to have, and it's because there's so many, I think, right answers, and there's so many things that make sense, on both sides, what everybody's concerned with. So,
well, there's so many variables, man. The thing, that's the problem. With AR-15 in my house, it's not a dangerous weapon, right? It's not because I'm mentally stable. I'm not going to go shoot at the post office up. But AR-15 in somebody else's house is a very big deal because that person has a very different idea of what he's going to use it for.
No, and I think that's just one thing that really needs to be looked at. I think it has to be comprehensive. It's, you look at in mental hospitals, if somebody they get flagged, right? If they have mental and they seem to be violent, they get flagged. And that way, if there's a true background check done, they get flagged. If you're selling one illegally at a flea market, then you get your ass busted. You know what I mean?
Here's the problem. Kind of thing. Here's the problem. I know a lot of people who are mentally unstable that you can't find it on paper. Right. There's a lot of people walking around in the county right here who may have never been arrested, never got in trouble in any way, but they don't be carrying AR-15s. I hear you, Josh. He said guns are cool, nerd. He's called me a nerd, I guess.
Yeah, or me, I don't know. Look.
It's funny that Josh is calling me a nerd, but whatever.
Let's see here. What is this? I agree something has to be done, but I feel it would only take them away from law-abiding citizens. Criminals are going to have theirs no matter what, and there may be some truth to that.
Yeah, there is truth to that.
Yeah.
So, like, I remember being in school, man, and you had these certain kids who would never shut up, and the whole class ended up getting punished. But it also took away that kid doing what he was doing. Like, and I still feel like that having ARs are that big of a right. Like, I just don't feel like, I don't know. It's something I won't care if we lose or not because I don't even care.
Right. From Dave Crum here, most activists will not be satisfied with just one weapon being banned or limiting the way they are manufactured. We've seen this in the activists against coal. They weren't satisfied with just mountaintop removal being stopped. They wanted it all. And that's the fear, right? But that is the fear, is they won't be satisfied with just one. You give a little, they want it all, no matter what.
Sure.
And that's the fear. And I think that's where the pushback comes. And I don't know that you'll ever get anything done with that particular issue.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
That's what it really comes down to. It's like,
yeah.
I don't know that you will either, man, honestly.
So let's talk a little bit too, JD, about, maybe she's gone down there now, but they tapped Kamala Harris to go down here and work at the border, right? And she's yet to be there. Yeah. From what I've seen, it's still an issue, down at the border. It's one of the things we talked about that concern me the most is, just letting people influx. And it's not even now. The people, like before, it was always about, how do we pay for these people? But now it's dangerous, dude, because they got little kids coming across. Yeah. Little kids. And they just don't seem to be doing anything about it or even recognize it as being an issue.
I don't know what to do. What did we do? I feel like this is the same quandary. What did Trump do? He said,
No, I mean, he was building the wall, and then he had multiple agents down. Dude, the border thing was, he had gotten Mexico to agree to harbor these people. It was not the mass amount of people that are coming across right now.
Every spring that goes up, man. Every spring.
Of course it does, because it gets warm.
Right.
Yeah. But what Trump was doing, you didn't have the crisis that you have now. We have the ICE agents, the people who work there, JD, were saying this had stopped. Now, I'm not telling you that he had fixed the border crisis, because he was doing what I believe you should do, right? Which is you stop the bleeding.
Sure.
Stop the bleeding. Then you go fix your justice system and get these people in here the right way, and get them in here quickly the right way. And if you do that, I think you're fine. But just letting people come across, and you got these coyotes and these cartels of gain power, and because they can bring whoever they want to across the border right now, it's just insane. And then Kamala Harris she's the one tapped to do something about it, and hasn't even went down there yet. I mean, like I said, that's the part that bothers me with that whole thing. The border was one of my biggest concerns.
So what's happening right now is kids are getting sent across the border without parents. And so what do? Do we send them back to God knows where? Do we? Because I don't have the answer. What do we do?
Keep them from coming. I mean,
there's a reason their parents are sending them. Their parents are sending them for a reason, man. And we talked about this last week. It's not because things are great where they're at. It's not because they have opportunities where they're at. We can talk about the border wall we want to, but there's a Gulf of Mexico right there. There's a California, and more people are coming through those ports, and more drugs are coming through the Gulf of Mexico and through California than there ever have been coming across that border. So that's a crisis, and you can't put a wall up and fix it. So what do we do, man? What do we do with these kids who are sent over? And you can say you stop them, but now they're here. So what do we do with them now?
Yeah, it's unfair, dude. You're going to have to put them in the system, in the foster care system, which is unfortunate, the adoption system, which is unfortunate. It's overfilled and broken with, Americans who don't take care of their own kids. And it's an unfortunate situation, dude, and they're going to be in bad situations. It's almost like it could be worse than where they were. At least they were with their parents. And I get they're coming from bad places, dude, but you can't look. Before, the people who worked for ICE and Border Patrol said, we had this under control. It was under control. Now we don't. And the thing is why don't we? Because they hated Trump so bad that they took everything he did away just to say, screw you, Trump. Instead of doing something, instead of saying, okay, maybe this is working. We don't like the end game or the overall end game here, but this is working. Okay, we've got the bleeding stop. Now we can put in what we want to with the judicial system and do those things.
So I want to respectfully disagree. I think what's happened is the people who are sending other people over have compromised the way they're sending them across. Oh, if we send kids across there, the media's going to get a hold of it, and they're going to have to keep them, because if they don't, the media's going to beat them to death, and then they're playing against our media against us. That's a real thing. I don't think that Trump was doing that. Not that whatever about Trump, but it's not that he was doing such a better job. It's that the tactics by the enemy. And so I've got that mindset too, us against them, which is not
right, sure.
Right. But the tactics by the opposing, by the Mexicans have changed, man. Since in the last year, they figured out how to play our politics against us, how to use the media against us, our own media against us. And so I don't think it's all about that wall.
The only thing that changed, dude, was the president. And all of a sudden you got a problem.
I think the tactics changed. I think
think that the border enforcement changed. I think leadership changed. And when the leadership changed, boom, it changed.
I mean, we didn't lose the wall. The part of the wall that he built was still built. The ICE people who were on the border, they didn't get moved away. So only thing that's changed, the president changed, but I mean, I don't think the manpower on the wall changed or on the border.
I don't know, dude. All I know is you got a problem at the border now, and you didn't have one before.
But it wasn't being publicized by the right people.
It wasn't being publicized by CNN, by NBC,
right, because other things were going on. We had other things going on. The COVID thing took everybody's attention, and so now this is getting the attention. That's the only difference.
I'm like you. I just respectfully disagree, because it's just convenient, I think, to use that. Like I said, I think this is something that they've done wrong. I think they were so anti-Trump. I think, look, dude, I don't agree with some of the stuff Trump did, right? You can be a
Sure.
never Trumper. I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying people can be never Trumpers, hate everything he did.
Sure.
To me, he was doing the right thing there, because now you've got these kids in a situation, dude, where they may end up in a worse position than they were, and coming to get something better, and they may end up in being trafficked. They can.
Now, Jimmy Don, you remember this has been an issue for a while, that the kids were being separated from the parents on the border. I mean, this was under Trump too, so I mean, it did happen. It's not like the people coming across were zero. I mean, there were still kids being separated from the parents at the border. So I don't think that he was doing that perfectly. I don't think that's perfect. So.
I'm not saying he was doing it perfect. It was just better than what's happening right now. And, and like I said, that was, I mean, I told you that was my biggest concern, was the border.
Sure.
Right on here, I told you that. And it was, because the other stuff, dude, is politics. It comes and goes. But
so it's not to me, though. Like, and so this is one of those things, the area thing, like, we don't have a lot of immigrants in here taking away jobs from East Kentuckians, I mean, so it's not really, it don't affect me on a day-to-day basis. So it's not a big deal to me. Maybe it should be. Maybe I'm uneducated about it. Maybe I need to educate myself more about that situation. But, as far as I can tell, the Mexican population we have here are by and large very, very participating good members of our society here. And so
100%.
So I'm not sure that's why it's never been that big of an issue to me.
No, the majority of them are. Like I said, the issue to me is, and it always has been, look, most of them that come here are good people. They just want a better life. And a lot of people that come here and work on work visas are sending money back to their countries where there's no work at all, just so their people can eat. And I don't necessarily have a problem with that. And there's a lot of jobs out there that Americans won't fill that these people fill. People that have businesses, farms, and things like that. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with the legal part. I think where a lot of people get construed about it, or is the reason that they've changed the policy on it so hard, is they're trying to get their voting base bigger, because those people generally vote Democrat. And maybe it is, and like I said, maybe that's BS, but I think that is a common thought, because most of it. But now that changed in the last elections. A lot of Hispanics voted for Trump. Not overwhelming numbers, but it was a lot higher than it had been in the past.
Sure.
And because they know they don't want America to become like the place they got here from.
Right.
And if you let too many people in and you can't afford them and you don't have places for them and you don't have all that, dude, it's just, you end up with people living on the street and poor, and you got kids in the foster system. I mean, and who's paying for that? The taxpayers.
Sure.
It's just, and it's not good for them. So it's just, it's another one of those, dude, like gun control, that a lot of the stuff that you say makes sense to me, right? It makes sense. But, I just, like, my
how do you implement it?
How do you implement it, right? And that's the hard part to do. And
sure,
that's why there's people in government and we're not, right? We're sitting here on Sunday evening talking about it. So, but cool, man, we're about out of time. Anything? Look, guys, don't forget, not this weekend, but next, we got Donnie Baker in Inez. Very few tickets left, okay? So very few. If you're wanting tickets, you better get them.
I heard we might be able to get Donnie Baker next week.
Oh, really?
That's what I heard. We'll see.
Well, so we'll see. All right. So, that would be fun, dude. Like, you've taken me aback a little bit. Like, that would be fun to get to talk to Donnie Baker. So, but yeah, definitely go get your Donnie Baker tickets. Be Friday night. I think it's the 23rd is the actual date. It's not this weekend. It's the next. Your boy J.D. Dameron will be emceeing. I hear he's got a pretty fire set put together, so I'm looking forward to hearing it.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
So cool, guys. Thank you for joining us tonight, JD, brother. I love you as always. I always enjoy the conversation.
Same. I gotta go pee, man.
I'll shut it down for us. I'll shut it down. So, guys, you know where to find us. Of course, iTunes, Podbean, Amazon Music, Spotify, all those places. JD's running the social media. Stay tuned there. And then, of course, Podbean. I said Podbean. Did I say Podbean? Of course, we'll be back here next Sunday night at 6 o'clock to talk to you again about the events of the week. And so, as always in this thing, from myself and from JD, no matter how bad your week's been, no matter how bad your day's going, if you just have bourbon, it always gets a little bit better. Talk to y'all next week, guys.